Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding the hearing. I want to thank our panelists for coming and providing your testimony and responding to questions. This hearing is somewhat unique in that we are actually talking about whether or not to repeal a law, the Jackson-Vanik Amendment as it currently applies to Russia. And I think a lot of people have believed it has outlived its usefulness. I know that that will probably be a discussion that will continue here. But I think it's important that we do everything we can to provide U.S. businesses greater access to markets. There's a growing export market in Russia. I know that people like Mr. Williams are interested in intellectual property protections, which is something obviously would be a big part of any, when Russia does come into the World Trade Organization and some of the disciplines that exist there. So I guess this is an issue where, as you look at the economics of it, at least, it certainly looks like it's a sort of a one-way street in terms of the benefit to U.S. producers and exporters. But I wanted to just ask a question, and I guess maybe of Mr. Pollitt, Mr. Allen. It is hard to ignore the fact that American companies have very little market penetration in Russia. In fact, right now, U.S. products account for about 4% of Russia's total import market, while the EU accounts for about 43%. And I guess my question is, why is this the case? And then perhaps a follow-up to that, if the United States does not grant Russia PNTR status, do you expect this disparity to grow even larger than it is today?
From our standpoint, maybe to frame it, we do about $800 million of business in Russia this last year. 70% of that was products that came out of the Midwest. So that's kind of the opportunity. Because of what the chairman talked about in terms of Russian ag potential, we think our market's going to grow by 4 to 5 times. And it hasn't grown up to this point in time because the whole country is starting to develop and move away from the Russian-based equipment that is very, very low productivity type equipment to being high productive farms. But that transition is now going on. To answer the second part of your question, our number one competitor over there is another Western company called Claas out of Germany. Germany's will have the benefits of WTO with Russia. So if we don't pass it, what's going to happen is they immediately have a major benefit from a cost standpoint to us, and instead of seeing our business grow 4 or 5 times, we'll see our business shrink.
Senator, I think one of the reasons why we're so small over there is because of historic and geographic issues. Pretty far away. Germany is much closer. France is much closer, much more competitive as well. I mean, I think one of the things that these countries do is they're very much focused on exports. They bring out their principles to sell their products. I think that's something that the U.S. could do more of, help our governments help sell more. And I also think that the improvement of U.S.-Russia relations has helped actually improve the business case, and it's going to help us going forward. You know, we might say that the relationship is not improved, but I think it has improved pretty much for the last several years from what it used to be, and that's helped the U.S. business. It's helped open doors.
If we don't grant Russia PNTR status, second question is, do you see the disparity that exists today between, I mean, you've described what I think are some of the geographic, there are some advantages built in for Europe, but does that disparity in terms of penetration in that market grow?
We'll be looked at today, basically giving them an economic slap, and they can throw their government orders to other countries that would cooperate more on an economic front with them. I think would have a negative reaction.
Yeah. I want to just follow up. The Senator from Montana would like to export more Montana beef. We would like to export more South Dakota beef.
How about a little both?
Yeah, a little both. That's we both. It's a big pie. We need to grow the pie. But in your testimony, and to say this to Mr. Taylor, you did talk about the importance of beef producers and of Russia's WTO commitments on a sanitary and phytosanitary standards. Which of these commitments do you believe are most important to ensure market access for U.S. beef, and how important is it for beef producers to have access to the WTO dispute settlement procedures to ensure that Russia's commitments are enforced?
Senator, I think all these are important, simply from the fact that as you go down the road, some of them always become protectionism. But I think trying to bring Russia in line with scientific data and international standards is what we seek from all our trading partners. And that's what levels the trading the playing field for all of us. But we most definitely have a product that 10 years ago wasn't even going into Russia. Today we're over 45,000 metric tons, and that's more than what we're sending to the EU. So it's definitely an expanding market. From our standpoint as cow-calf producers, the profit that's coming to our business is from our export market, whether it be Russia or Korea or whatever. And that has substantially helped us. And we need it to keep up with the cost of doing business. I don't think, I know from my standpoint, I'm not making any more money today than I was 5 years ago, maybe less, because it's costing me that much more to do business than what we've been getting.
I see my time's expired, Mr. Chairman. I do think that there's tremendous upside for American agriculture, and if we're going to continue to see the types of commodity prices that have helped agriculture prosper in the last few years, we've got to continue to look for ways to open up more markets around the world. 96% of the world's population, as we know, lives outside the United States. So there's, I think, tremendous upside, and you look at what we're doing in Russia today relative to what we might be able to do, and it certainly it looks like a target-rich environment. So,
Senator, in your state's involved in this, in the export of live cattle to Russia. It's been brought to my attention that the population of cattle in Russia in 1917 was 18 million. That's roughly 1/5 of what we have in the United States. Today it's 400,000. We will probably ship somewhere as close to 50,000 head to Russia in the next year. We have a long ways to go to get Russia up to the standards they need to be. And we have a expanding population worldwide that we're going to have to feed on the same land that we have today. So I think it's pretty crucial and critical to all of us to move Russia forward.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.